Prime Minister's absence from CARICOM meeting cites focus on domestic issues. Police investigate 2 mass shootings in 24 hours. Tribe unveils Carnival 2026 costumes. It's a trip to the circus.
Coming up in sport, West Indies show fight but fall short as Australia retains the Frank Worrell Trophy.
Good evening, I'm Doris Polo, and this is the weekend news here on CNC3. Thank you so much for joining us. Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Sean Sobers says Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar is not attending the CARICOM meeting in Jamaica due to pressing national issues. But he insists her absence is not a slight to the regional body. Let's go to Akash Samaru in Jamaica.
A very good evening, Doris, and good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Well, we know that Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar will not be in attendance for the 49th Heads of Government meeting, but we did not know why. We have a bit more clarity on that, even though it's not total transparency. We just spoke with Foreign Affairs Minister Sean Sobers, who is leading this country's delegation, and this is what he had to say to that question.
There are certain national issues that are currently engaging her attention, that requires her undivided attention, and she is in Trinidad treating with those issues. I mean, it follows a similar pattern with some other leaders who are not here, which you will recognize when the CARICOM heads kicks off, that there are some other leaders who did not come as well too, because they have other issues that they are engaging with in their own local territories.
Anything that we need to be concerned about? Is it national security issues?
Nothing to be concerned about. No. Well, we have the Minister of Homeland Security. No, nothing to be concerned about. It's just that they require her undivided attention.
Sobers also responded to criticism from his predecessor, Dr. Amory Brown, who said this is sending all the wrong signals, and that Minister Sobers and Alexander may be too green and under-leveled for this level of engagement. As
Minister Brown would well be aware that those agendas would have been issued before, and so we would have been quite familiar with them, although they are updated almost on a regular basis. And our Prime Minister is in constant contact with us, giving us the relevant directions as we move around and maneuver this entire CARICOM heads. As it pertains to the dealing with us when we go to the meetings, I attended meetings today as the head of the delegation, and I was able to engage in the meeting in a fruitful way, and my comments were taken on board and recommendations taken on board.
The minister also denied that this is a slight to CARICOM.
The Prime Minister would have indicated on a number of occasions with CARICOM leaders and through us as a new administration that we intend to reaffirm our relationship with CARICOM and stay connected to all of the aims and objectives that make up the CARICOM corpus.
And the Foreign Affairs Minister would have had a few words with the host nation Prime Minister, that's Andrew Holness, when he arrived, and he told us what that discussion was about.
We greeted each other. He acknowledged receipt of the Prime Minister's phone calls, concerned phone calls, and the correspondence sent from my ministry to him. I expressed my congratulations to him on behalf of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago for Jamaica accepting the chair for CARICOM for the next 6 months. And I expressed my gratitude for the fantastic engagement that we've had so far in Jamaica.
Of course, he has Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander with him as well. Lots of meetings will be taking place over the next few days, next 2 days actually. And whatever we know, you'll know. Of course, the opening ceremony is carded to begin this evening. Until then, Akash Samaru, CNC3 News, Montego Bay, Jamaica.
Well, Minister Sobers also confirmed that the Prime Minister will speak at tomorrow's Monday night forum in Penal. The Movement for Social Justice says Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar's absence from today's CARICOM heads meeting in Jamaica is, quote, not a good thing. Political leader David Abdullah says this was her first chance to engage with regional leaders since returning to office in April, and her absence, he warns, comes at a particularly vulnerable time for the Caribbean community.
Her participation, therefore, in CARICOM meetings at the level of the summit would have been very important, because as a number of CARICOM leaders have been signaling, CARICOM is at a bit, not a crossroads, but in some still waters. It's like a sailboat that is somewhat still, not moving forward at the pace it ought to.
Speaking at the MSJ's virtual press conference earlier today, Abdullah said the Caribbean community needs to strengthen itself to better defend the region's interests on the global stage. And as Prime Minister, he says it's Kamla Persad-Bissessa's responsibility to take the lead in representing TNT within CARICOM directly. One person is dead and 7 others injured following 2 mass shootings in Sangre Grande and Valencia just 24 hours apart. While police in the Eastern Division say there's no evidence linking the 2 incidents, they've stepped up patrols in several high-risk areas. Just after midnight, 39-year-old Kelvin Barlow Paul of KP Lands was shot dead in the area by 2 gunmen who opened fire on a group of men. 3 others were injured. A total of 35 spent 5.56mm shells were recovered at the scene. Paul's wife, Marina, says she was asleep when he was killed.
Within this sleep and the wake, I just hear the shot, so I get up on them and I watch my phone and I see us after 12 and I see them run outside and I see us set up people down by the shop. I seen bodies on the ground. Next thing I seen one of the boys running up and say, Barlow there, Barlow there.
The shooting comes just 24 hours after a similar incident in Sangre Grande, where 4 men were hospitalized with gunshot wounds. Police say while no suspects have been held for either shootings, they are exploring all active leads. Well, hours after Police Commissioner Alista Guevara directed that additional security resources be deployed in Belmont, on Saturday, gunmen shot and injured a 45-year-old man who was driving in St. Barb. This happened as officers were on Serrano Road investigating the shooting death of 14-year-old Zion Roberts on Friday. The injured man was able to drive himself to hospital for treatment, and a 26-year-old man from Harp Place was shot and injured in an early morning shooting outside Ibiza Club on Arapita Avenue. Responding to those incidents and several other acts of violence this weekend, Police Commissioner Guevara says while the operational specifics of their response can't be made public, the police service will be increasing their visibility and employing intelligence-led initiatives to combat public lawlessness. While murders plagued the PNM's time in office, opposition leader Penelope Beckles is now questioning the UNC government's silence on a so-called rise in violent crime. She was speaking at a PNM public meeting in Chaguanas last evening. Beckles cited 2 incidents over the weekend where 4 men were shot in Sangre Grande and a woman was found dead in Chaguanas. She accused the government of ignoring a crime wave while retrenching thousands of workers. The opposition leader also took aim at Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessa's decision to honor Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. She says the same UNC government had previously dismissed the very vaccine donation now used to justify the award.
I sat in the parliament and I listened to Kamla Persad-Bissessa and at President's House say that one of the main reasons that she gave the Honorable Modi the highest order is because of the vaccines.
As of Friday, the murder toll was 192 when compared to 293 for the same period last year. Turning to internal party matters, Beckles says the PNM leadership met with all unsuccessful candidates in the general and internal elections to rebuild unity. She acknowledged past mistakes and pledged to do better as the party prepares for upcoming elections. Now, the opposition is rejecting claims that a CPEP-related lawsuit has collapsed. The case filed by a contractor over the sudden dismissal of nearly 20,000 CPEP workers was withdrawn just 1 day after being lodged in the High Court. Government lawyers say it was a waste of the court's time. CPEP says the withdrawn claim was frivolous and politically driven. It plans to seek legal costs and may refer the matter for investigation. But speaking at a PNM rally in Chaguanas last night, opposition Senator Faris Al-Rawi says several companies had been delisted from the company's registry. He says it was their decision to withdraw once new information became available to them.
And it turns out that the claimant in one of the contractors stepping forward to represent one of the claims found himself without his knowledge in that situation. Easy fix. You withdraw, you bring a new one. Because they have 336 contractors. Very simple fix.
All right, it's time now for a break. Don't go anywhere.
Dress like you mean business. At The Working Woman, we bring you stylish, professional looks made for the modern woman. From casual to formal workwear, we've got your professional wardrobe covered.
Shop Southern Food Basket anniversary specials now. Garlic 1 pound for $9.95. Russet potatoes 5 pounds $17.95. Grill Master Burger patties 2 pounds $49.95. Great Value crinkle cut fries 5 pounds 2 for $59.95. Golden Brand margarine 4 for $19.95. Anchor cheddar cheese 250 grams 2 for $44.95. Richport vegetable oil 500 ml 3 for $19.95. Lucozade Energy 360 ml 3 for $18.95. Chubby 3 cases for $100. Clorox 1 gallon $26.95. Double duty medium garbage bags $17.95. With every $300 you spend at any Southern Food Basket, you can qualify to win a brand new Suzuki Grand Vitara. Much more prizes to be won, including Caribbean getaways, staycations, and shopping spree.
Don't forget, we are Food Basket Superstore right here in Arima. Come see for yourself. From stationery to household items and so much more. Right here at Food Basket Superstore in Arima.
I really love the variety. There's something for everyone here.
Welcome back. Well, the police commissioner has ordered a report into how a marked police car was used to transport a young woman to a social event. The commissioner says he was made aware of the video by a member of the media. After initial inquiries, it was determined the vehicle is under the responsibility of the Assistant Commissioner of the South Central Division, Wayne Meister. He has been asked to submit a report to the police commissioner about the incident. When asked to comment, ACP Meister simply said protocol dictates that he cannot speak on an issue after the head of police. The National Parent-Teacher Association is tonight asking the newly installed police commissioner to partner with them. President Walter Stewart's call comes after the commissioner said that under his leadership, school violence and youth delinquency will not be tolerated, and if parents do not deal with their wayward children, the police will. As he addressed the congregation at the NPTA Interfaith Service, Stewart says he knows of parents who were completely blindsided by their children's actions.
But there is an enemy, and besides the enemy, there are their colleagues and their peers outside there who are luring them into a state of confusion, so that they are now almost in a state of dizziness and not sure which path to go. Partner with the National Parent-Teacher Association, assist us in a training exercise and program with our parents.
He believes the NPTA can help parents be better. He says the association has already met with the former Top Cup National Security Minister and the community police on the issue. Giving her personal take, Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, Khadija Amin, remembered a time when her son was being bullied at school. She advised the NPTA to work with social services as they helped her son and his classmates resolve their conflict.
In his school, several other students were also affected, but the bully was the son of a teacher. And it wasn't until the intervention of the school social worker talking to boys, we realized that 35 out of the 37 boys in the class were victims of that bully. That boy was a victim of domestic violence along with his mother.
Amin says the social worker was able to work with the victims in a way that wasn't punitive but restorative. The carnival band Tribe has brought the circus to the streets of Port of Spain with a revival of the time-honored spectacle with a dash of Trini rhythm. The band's costumes were presented at a jam-packed launch at the Queen's Park Savannah on Saturday night ahead of next year's carnival season, blending traditional theatrics and modern flamboyance. Shane Superville and Joel Phillip attended the launch.
There may not have been any wild animals or death-defying stunts, but the theatrics and spectacle of your traditional amusement park was clear at Tribe's band launch last night. From ringleaders, acrobats and clowns, the band made full use of the vivid colors and zany performances to create an atmosphere that grabbed attention and inspired awe. Tribe's group creative director Valmiki Maharaj said Lost Tribe's Island Circus concept was born from the history of TNT's local folklore characters and how these mythical figures, much like circus performers, find camaraderie in each other.
Our traditional characters have such rich storylines, such rich backstories, and in their own ways have been shunned in their own spaces to find kinship in each other. And seeing that not only from the stories, from the history books, but seeing it in the spaces and how I interact with them right now, I find so inspiring.
And following this year's Band of the Year win for Lost Tribe, Maharaj said while another consecutive win would be appreciated, the creative experience and the joy that it brings is a reward in itself.
I look forward to presenting a new presentation every single year. In terms of winning, from your lips to God ears, I go in with it, but apart from that, for my masqueraders, once they are happy, I'm happy.
Designer Shari Winchester told CNC3 News that bringing the costumes to life from drawings to the stage was a team effort that began almost a year and a half before the show.
We never really stop working, so even though Carnival is finished, we start long before. So it's a continuous process getting ready for the following year.
And as bands under the umbrella showcased their presentations of Marie for Tribe, Bacchanal in Bloom for Hearts and Uncaged for Bliss, the colors and designs of each costume caught the eyes of the eager spectators in the lead up to Carnival 2026. But for model Maya Cooper, her costume, which pays tribute to traditional Moko Jombies and African folklore, is a means of reclaiming her heritage with style and flair.
We need to add in the cowrie shells. Cowrie shells is known for protection as well. And as an African girl myself, I love it. I love Shari. Just love the costume.
But the presentation was just one part of the much larger band launch experience, as throngs of eager patrons soaked up the vibes and excitement of the evening.
For many, tonight's launch was more than just a preview of things to come, but a promise of a louder, prouder Carnival 2026. And even if the year is halfway over, the party is just getting started. Shane Superville, CNC3 News.
All right, let's tell you what's still to come in sport. It'll be a classic CONCACAF showdown tonight as Mexico takes on the U.S. in the Gold CP final.
Things don't always go as expected. Be ready with Trinry for auto, home, business and group life. Call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Huge insurance premium. Pay your premiums bit by bit with FlexiPay from Trinry. For more manageable auto, home and commercial insurance payments, call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Trinry. Premier insurance coverage for less.
Presenting the most modern pharmaceutical facility in the country, Food Basket Hyperfarm Pharmacy Food Basket Complex, Arima. We stock the widest range of health and beauty products, baby supplies, stationery, fragrances and cosmetics. Our organic, sugar and gluten-free products cater to vegans and the health conscious. A wide assortment of dispensary medication and over-the-counter items at the most affordable prices. Make Hyperfarm Pharmacy your choice. Located on the compound of Food Basket Complex, Arima.
Visit Tire Clinic Marketing, New Truck and OTR Tire Service Center at number 30 and 32 Montrose Main Road, Chabonas. Call today at 665-8973 or 672-3419. Alignment services available. Tire Clinic Marketing, Truck and OTR Service Center. A tire for every need.
Food Basket, nation's #1 supermarket, bakery, restaurant, meat market, fresh producers, everything fantastic for everyday low price. Things real nice. Come in once, but to come back twice. Wholesale retail, everything for you. Arima, Shawana, Marketplace Gulfview, where shopping is a pleasure and the price is right.
Bowling off tonight's sportcast, West Indies showed grit in Grenada but came up short, losing by 133 runs as Australia retained the Frank Worrell Trophy. Rajiv Suratsingh has the action.
Shamar Joseph once again showed his quality and spirit, claiming 4 for 66 in the Australians' second innings to bring his tally to 27 wickets at an average of 18 from just 4 tests against the Aussies. His aggressive spell gave Caribbean fans hope early on day 4, as he and Alzari Joseph quickly wrapped up the visitors for 243. But those hopes began to fade as the Windies' top order collapsed once again under pressure as they struggled to build partnerships or resist the relentless Australian attack. In what was meant to be a milestone match for Craig Brathwaite, playing his 100th test, the veteran opener endured a tough outing, dismissed for duck in the first innings and falling for just 7 in the second. Casey Carty, John Campbell and Brandon King were all sent back cheaply as Australia's bowlers kept a tight grip on the proceedings. Captain Roston Chase showed some intent, scoring 34 runs, and Shea Hope added 17, but both fell in quick succession after lunch, leaving the lower order exposed. Chase's dismissal, LBW to Stark, sealed the Windies' fate. And with Nathan Leon cleaning up the tail, Australia closed out the match in dominant fashion. It marked another year where the Frank Worrell Trophy, named after the legendary West Indies captain, remained out of the region's reach, a title the Aussies have now held for 30 straight years since 1995. As the teams now turn their eyes towards Sabina Park, Jamaica, for the third and final test, the West Indies will be looking to salvage pride, regroup, and give their fans something to cheer about on home soil. Rajiv Suratsingh, CNC3 Sport.
Thanks, Rajiv. Staying with cricket, the West Indies have slipped out of the automatic qualification zone for the 2027 ICC Men's Cricket World Cup, falling to 10th in the latest one ball. The 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup final will be contested tonight, and it's the classic showdown, Mexico versus the United States. Both teams arrive unbeaten with 4 wins and 1 draw, but their paths have been very different. Mexico comes in as Nations League champions and the defending Gold Cup holders, while the United States had a rough summer, finishing 4th in the Nations League and missing several key players who opted out of the tournament in order to rest. The U.S. hasn't lost to Mexico in an official match since 2019. And in some badminton action, Amara Urquhart and Will Lee claimed top titles in the final day of the Trinidad and Tobago Badminton Association 2025 Top Singles Tournament. In the women's final, Urquhart faced multiple-time national champion Chiquita Deboulay in a thrilling contest. Urquhart got off to a strong start by edging out Deboulay 21-18 in the first set. Deboulay fought back fiercely in the second set, winning 21-15 to force a deciding game. In the final set, Urquhart regained control and secured the championship. The men's final between Will Lee and Reese Makano mirrored the intensity of the women's match. Lee narrowly claimed the first set, 21-19. Makano responded with a dominant 21-15 win in the second, pushing the match to a nail-biting decider. Lee held his nerve and clinched the title in the final set. All right, let's take another break. Don't go anywhere.
Food Basket. Food Basket, nation's #1 supermarket, bakery, restaurant, meat market, fresh producers, everything fantastic. For everyday low price, things real nice. Come in once, but to come back twice. Wholesale, retail, everything for you. Arima, Shagwana, Shafle, Gulfview. Food Basket, the nation's #1 supermarket, bakery, restaurant, meat market, fresh producers, everything fantastic. Food Basket. Marketplace Chamfleur, where shopping is a pleasure and the price is right.
Energy expert and former Minister Caroline Sipasad-Bechan says government must move swiftly to select a reputable international investor to restart the Point-a-Pierre refinery. She spoke to Andrea Perez-Sobas following a court ruling holding the OWTU liable for a US $4 million loan tied to its failed bid to acquire the refinery.
Since the closure of Petrotrin refinery in 2018, there has been a back and forth to find an operator. In February, Oando PLC, a Nigerian company, was selected as the preferred bidder under the last government. But the current administration has repeatedly said that it will work with the OWTU to attempt to restart the refinery's operations. However, last week a High Court ruling indicated that the Oilfield Workers Trade Union and its associated company Patriotic Energies and Technologies Limited has been held liable for over $4 million in loans it secured for its bid to acquire the refinery after it was closed. Weighing on this issue, energy expert and former Energy Minister Caroline Sipasa-Bechan says she was always of the view that a reputable international investor is needed to reopen the refinery.
I believe that the reopening of the refinery should have been a collaborative approach, one which involves regulatory oversight, of course, but a private sector investor. Because they bear in mind that if it is that you have to approach the international financial markets for debt financing, they are going to want to look for some form of equity financing.
Asked if the government should restart the bidding process, Sipasa-Bechan outlines that once the criteria is met and the two bidders who were shortlisted before, the government should work with them.
That investor has the capital, they have the wherewithal, they have the technology, and in addition to that, they come with markets, because we are talking about, whilst we have equity crude, which can be used, this refinery requires a certain amount of, imported foreign crude.
A source who is close to the process says the government should approach the two shortlisted bidders, who are CRO Consortium and Oando. Andrea Perez-Sobas, CNC3 News.
Suriname's parliament has officially elected the leader of the National Democratic Party, NDP, Jennifer Simmons, as the country's first female president. Surinamese lawmakers backed Simmons as president 6 weeks after the ruling party and its top opposition nearly tied in the race for legislative seats. The 71-year-old former opposition leader was left as the sole candidate for the president after her rivals decided on Thursday not to nominate anyone to lead the country. The NDP won 18 of the 51 seats in Congress and had already entered into an agreement with 5 other parties to jointly hold 34 seats. Although the Surinamese Independent Electoral Bureau had officially declared Suriname's May 25th parliamentary elections valid, it must formally certify the elections and determine whether they are binding or not, a process that concluded over the weekend. And now for a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. The Met Office says sunny skies will likely be interrupted by a few intervals of cloudiness and showers over a few areas. There's also a medium chance of isolated thunderstorm activity favoring the western half of Trinidad. Flash flooding is possible in the event of thunderstorm activity. Tomorrow's maximum forecast temperature in Trinidad is 33 degrees, while Tobago will experience a high of 30 degrees Celsius. Seas are slight to moderate, with waves reaching from 1.2 to 1.5 meters in open water and below 1 meter in sheltered areas. Thank you so much for joining us for the 7 p.m. news here on CNC3. As always, on behalf of the entire team, have a great night and a wonderful week.
You're watching CNC3.
The Organization of American States has its first Caribbean Secretary General, Surinamese Albert Ramdin. Awaiting him on his desk in Washington are a number of issues facing this part of the world, not least funding for the organization, tied together with climate change issues impacting this part of the world, as well as the crises gripping Venezuela, Haiti, Cuba, and Nicaragua. Ramdin also tells us he is willing to meet with the new administration here in Trinidad and Tobago to solve many of the issues facing this country. He's my guest this week on The Big Interview. Albert Ramdin, Secretary General of the Organization of American States,